All praises to the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Raha Kodash. Double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, laboring in His truth in all sincerity. Isaiah 32, verses 9 and 10 in the KJV. Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women. For the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come.
Bunch of nurses just walked into work to find out they've been laid off.
I don't know what's going on with the healthcare system, but they are excluding nursing as a professional degree in the Department of Education. Department of Education proposal aims to limit student loan access for graduate-level nursing students. The new proposal removes nursing from definition of professional degree programs. Let's hear what the professionals got to say about this.
Nurses just walked into work to find out they've been laid off. 350 workers been laid off from Pottstown Hospital. Nurses are saying they're blindsided. They had no idea. And they're trying to process all of this. They don't know what they're going to do. They're just trying to process it right now because they were laid off out of nowhere. They're in a union, and they said that, this layoff language, protection language, was in the contract. They laid off nurses in the ICU, float pool, closed down one of the med-surg units. Devastating.
What's about to happen in...
All right, I'll stop that video there. Basically, we're seeing now that the Department of Education has now stated that nursing degrees are no longer considered, or will be classified, no longer classified, I should say, as professional degrees. So this is nurse.org/news. Hospital layoffs escalate. Impact spreads from support staff to nurses. This was published July 22nd of this year. Hospitals and long-term care facilities throughout the United States have recently reported workforce reductions that include nurses, aides, and other frontline healthcare staff. In the past several months, health systems such as Providence Swedish, U.S. San Diego Health, Kaiser Permanente, among others, have announced layoffs in response to financial pressures, increased operational costs, and concerns over future changes in federal reimbursement rates. So I'll stop there and let's go to the next article. Actually, this was me trying to figure out what percentage of black women make up the total number of registered nurses in the U.S. According to AI Overview, black women are estimated to make up about 6.3 to 6.7 of all registered nurses. This was based on 2022 data. This percentage is lower than the representation in the general U.S. population, which is around 13.4% for black Americans. Key statistics: registered nurses, 6.3 to 6.7. General U.S. population, that's 13.4% black. That includes men and women. LPNs, LVNs, a higher percentage of LPNs and LVNs identify as black compared to RNs, with 12% of the LPN/LVN workforce being Hispanic, Latino, and 6.6% being black in 2022. Nursing assistants/aides, African Americans, make up a much larger portion of this group, which is around 35% of nursing assistants being African American. Additional context: growing diversity. The diversity of the nursing workforce has increased over the last decade, with a rising number of nurses identifying as non-white. Underrepresentation. Despite this growth, people of color, including black women, remain underrepresented in nursing compared to their percentage of the general U.S. population. Let's move on a little further here. Nursing degrees are not considered professional degrees under a new U.S. Department of Education policy, a change that removes advanced nursing students from higher federal student loan limits and potentially affects loan forgiveness programs. This reclassification, part of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, excludes many other programs like public health, physical therapy, and social work from the professional category. The change has sparked concern from nursing organizations, which argue it threatens the nursing workforce at a time of critical shortages. Wow, so Donald Trump with the One Big Beautiful Bill Act is really causing some chaos here. And lastly, let's take a look at and it's not just the nursing degrees. This is an actual list. And this list came out, they were able to produce this list on November 23rd. So a list of degrees the Department of Education will reclassify and no longer consider professional degrees. Education, including teaching master's degrees, nursing, social work, public health, physical assistant, occupation therapy, physical therapy, audiology, speech-language pathology, business masters, engineering masters, counseling, and therapy degrees. So, if you take a look at this list here, education, nursing, social work, public health, occupational therapy, physical therapy, these are all degrees that women in particular go after. You don't really see a whole lot of men pursuing degrees in stuff like, psychiatry, sociology, those type of degrees. But women, particularly black women, they fill up the colleges going after these types of degrees: education, nursing, social work, public health, physician assistant, occupation therapy, physical therapy. So black women are about to take a major hit here because it looks like Nero has thrown a monkey wrench in the game with that One Big Beautiful Bill. And it's hitting the so-called black women hard. Let's go back to these percentages here for a second. Key trends from 2024 to 2025 data: disproportionate job loss. More than 300,000 black women have left the U.S. workforce in recent months due to layoffs and other factors. That right there was announced this past late spring or early summer. As far as the Department of Education no longer classifying nursing as well as those other professions I just mentioned, this was earlier this month. This was just a few days ago, as a matter of fact. So on top of the 300,000 black women who have left the U.S. workforce in recent months due to layoffs, now you can go back and look at this particular list here I just mentioned as to what actually is going to be increased numbers now of women, and particularly black women, being so-called black women, being laid off. Once again, a list of degrees the Department of Education will reclassify and no longer consider professional degrees: education, nursing, social work, public health, physician assistant, occupational therapy, physical therapy, among others here on this list. So we'll go back to the statistics. Rising unemployment rate. While the national unemployment rate has remained relatively stable, around 4.2%, the rate for black women has steadily increased, reaching 7.5% in September of 2025, 2 months ago. Impact on healthcare. Black women are concentrated in healthcare support roles such as nursing assistants and home health aides, which have been hit by job cuts and funding issues. Systemic factors. The job losses are linked to a convergence of factors, including federal job cuts, budget shortfalls in healthcare facilities, and the rollback of diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI). Yes, remember Trump when he first got in was cutting back on a lot of these DEI initiatives. Intent to leave. Black nurses have reported higher levels of job dissatisfaction and intent to leave their positions compared to their white counterparts due to issues like burnout and inadequate staffing. So, let's go to Proverbs 9 and 13. And Proverbs 9 and 13 states, "A foolish woman is clamorous. She is simple and knoweth nothing." And this is true. And just by looking at this list of the type of degrees that these women pay upwards of anywhere 70, 80, 90, all the way up to $250,000. You're paying almost $250,000 for these type of degrees here: education, nursing, social work, public health. Those type of degrees are not very rewarding, unless maybe you can start your own practice in social work, or you can start your own practice. Maybe that can become a little fruitful for you. But other than that, these are not very lucrative positions or degrees to be pursuing once you factor in the amount of money that you'll have to pay back versus how much you're going to make annually from having these type of degrees. And so once again, Proverbs 9 and 13, "A foolish woman is clamorous. She is simple and knoweth nothing." She probably had some advice too. Hey, you probably don't want to pursue a degree like that. That's not going to be very lucrative compared to the amount of money that you're going to fork out to get those type of degrees. But you can't tell some black women anything. You can't say anything to them. They just feel like they know everything. So sometimes you have to leave these women to their own devices to see how things turn out. Let's go to Isaiah 32, verses 11 through 13. "Tremble, ye women that are at ease. Be troubled, ye careless ones. Strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. They shall lament for the teats, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vine." Yeah, all of that talk, it's time now to become humble. You understand? And the Most High has a way of humbling people, because for the past couple of years, all you've been hearing from these women, is living my best life. I can do bad all by myself. Just taking the nonstop selfies in the mirror and then posting them to social media all day, every day. All that strong and independent rhetoric has only gotten you here. Basically a worthless piece of parchment paper that you probably haven't even finished paying off yet. But you're steady here, mentioning that you're living your best life and you can do bad all by yourself. And now you're about to be brought real low here. You're about to be brought low. And this is the Most High's way of humbling you women. So let's look at Isaiah 3, 16 and 17 here. And this is just going to back up what I'm saying here about becoming humble now. And you can see here the so-called black woman in this country, the African American woman, is a Judite. She is part of the Southern Kingdom. So this is a warning to Jerusalem if you're looking at it in the NLT, but in the KJV, which is the translation I'm going to read out of, it says, "Judah's women denounced. Moreover, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai saith, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet. Therefore, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai will discover their secret parts." And like I said, the Most High, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, is about to humble a lot of you women. You've put yourselves on pedestals here. Just nonstop, just all of the the accolades that you've given yourself, the titles, these flattering titles, phenomenal women. Then you say things like, men are intimidated by me. You can't handle a woman like me. You can't afford me. I'm a goddess. I'm a queen. And the scriptures speak of stuff like that. This type of self-love and this type of arrogance and this attitude to where no one can tell you anything. So let's look at 2 Timothy 3:2. 2 Timothy 3:2, and we'll read this in the NLT. For people will love only themselves and their money. They will be boastful and proud, scoffing at Elohim, disobedient to their parents and ungrateful. They will consider nothing sacred. They will be unloving and unforgiving. They will slander others and have no self-control. They will be cruel and hate what is good. Exactly. And that's exactly what it is. You've basically, going back to verse 2 here, for people will love only themselves and their money. And that's exactly what I was stating earlier. You women have given yourselves all types of flattering titles, phenomenal women, baddies, just all types of just craziness. All day long on social media, these women are taking pictures with their feet up on yachts and stuff like that. This non-stop selfies in the mirror. Gone are the days where a woman can just sit in front of a camera and smile. Now it's the duck lips, it's the ass poked out. It's always that attitude, that strong, independent attitude. And I know you get tired of hearing the men always bring that up, and it seems like the men are probably throwing that in your face. Well, guess what? We've been hearing that shit for the past fucking 50 or 60 years. All right? Strong, independent this, strong, independent that. I don't need a man this. I can do battle by myself with that. We've been hearing this shit for damn near fucking 50 years. So who cares right now if the men are telling you this is what's about to happen to you. You're about to be made humble. So let's go into Isaiah 13:12. This is one of those verses that, this is one of those scriptures that your pastors, they don't bring this out. They allow you to go to church because you're their base, you're their financial base. So pastors, these pork chop pulpit pastors, they don't bring out these type of scriptures here to humble you, to let you know that this is the path, this is where you're going. So understand, the Most High says, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. Yes, so all of that, I don't need a man talk that we've had to endure the past 5 or 6 decades, it's about to come to a screeching halt. You women are going to get tired of fighting over men. And eventually, you're going to come to the realization that you're going to have to share. And you will be faithful to that man. You and your sister wives. And you're going to like it. You're going to embrace the natural order of things. This is not me talking crap. This is not me making this up. This is in the scriptures. So you can't say that you're a Christian and you're a God-fearing woman, but when it comes time to actually go into the scriptures and you look and see what's going on right now economically in this country, what's about to go on in this country as far as the civil war, you'll understand why, we look at Isaiah 4:1, and I'll end it right here. And you'll understand, like I just said, you women are going to get tired of fighting over men. Eventually, you will come to that realization that, the natural order of things is about to start manifesting itself here. And that's all through the power and spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. So Isaiah 4:1, and in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. I pray this has been edifying and reaches the ears it's supposed to reach. Shalom.